Oh man. The whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge. We haven't done a Stardom episode in quite a while, so I figured why not today? Especially with my guest Vinny over here, man. I haven't had him on the show in I don't know, it's been months. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me back. It's been a long time since I've done a podcast.
It has. I think the last one you did was with me and Thomas, the other ginger.
wait, what the comedian?
No, it wasn't the
No.
comedian. It was Thomas, and we were doing like AI images, and we were talking about the AI images.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it's been a
remember that.
while.
Yeah, because I did a couple like in a short space of time. I think a few months back with you. I think I did like 3 or 4 in the
Oh yeah,
space
there
of like
was
a
one with a
month or
comedian.
two.
Sean Shank. You did one with Sean. We were talking
John
about
Shank.
Irish
You did one with
folklore, and he didn't know
Patrick.
what he was talking about.
Yeah,
Patrick.
that was funny. Yeah. So I think I did 3, and then I've been quiet, bro. I've been slinging words. I've been,
Yeah.
selling
Speaking
that
of
writing
that,
rock.
yeah. Well, you posted this recently, you and Noel, so I figured why not give you guys some exposure here. Why don't you want to talk? You want to talk about it for a second?
Yeah, of course, of course. Is that on screen? Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
All right, cool. Yeah, so this is a new project. If anybody remembers me from previous appearances, I'm an author, independent publisher. I've published and wrote my first novel last year and released River Bones, a horror western, absolute epic. You can find that on Amazon. Plug myself or whatever. But in the meantime, I've also wrote a novella, Lonely Lighthouse. But that's kind of hit a stumbling block at the moment because my illustrator has got she's working on this huge project. It's in like a RPG. She's working on a role playing game, board game. So while she's been doing that, I've thrown myself into other projects, and one of them was a project that I worked on in between Lonely Lighthouse and River Bones, and I've revised it and revisited it recently, and it's called Blackrock. And if you notice that it is not a novel, it is actually a screenplay, and it's a 30-minute screenplay, and it's hopefully it's based here in Ireland, and so it's going to be my directorial debut. I haven't just written this. I'm going to direct it. We're looking at possible DPs and cinematographers. I'm already in talks with a really cool guy, really good friend of ours, a shared friend. I won't shout him out at the moment just in case he ends up doing other projects, but he's very interested in it. He's a safe pair of hands. So the plan is I'm going to try and make my first movie. I've me and Noel John, a guy I used to do podcasting with. Anyone ever checked out the Invasion Polly Snatchers back in the day? We're huge horror fans. We came up with a concept about a year or so ago when we were, maybe even 2 years ago when we were podcasting, and we've just constantly been just redrafting it in between other projects, and now I think it's strong enough, it's good enough, it's ready, it's feasible enough, and I think I have the skills to bring it to life. And so it's going to be a local story. It's set in Ireland. It's going to be set around here where we're from, Laois, in the Midlands of Ireland, and it's a pretty simplistic story about some cool stuff. I don't want to give anything away, really.
Yeah, no,
And,
I do.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
We talked before we went live a little about the difference between working with people and working independently too, and how
Mm,
you don't have to hold people accountable for things when you're by yourself and you don't let yourself
yeah.
down. I definitely see that, especially with podcasting too. It's like you have a guest and they back out or whatever. I've started getting into some short films and which I really enjoy doing, especially
Yeah.
because it kind of pushes my limits of what I already know. And dude, it's phenomenal. I love doing it.
Yeah, like if you're a creator and you're afraid of challenges, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like the way when I all I've done since I started writing is try to push myself. River Bones is third person. Lonely Lighthouse, when that comes out, anyone that checks that out, it's all set first person. It's one dude on an island, and it's a completely different writing style. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to see if I could write in different verses, different styles. You know what I mean? And
Right.
try different concepts. Like River Bones and Lonely Lighthouse are completely different. And when you look at Blackrock, that's completely different again. And the other things I'm working on right now, like We Are Manny, my third book, that's completely different again. And that's why I think, like, if you're a creator, if you constantly do the same thing, you're going to plateau and you're never going to evolve. And then eventually you're just going to run out of ideas. like the best thing to do is constantly be challenging yourself. And like you said, like I've seen your short and it's awesome. Like, and I love stop motion. It's got this really classic, trippy feel to it. Like we've talked about it a lot. Like we are talking about like that salad fingers type thing. Like where
Yeah,
you want to be like, what am I looking at? And it has this nostalgic thing that like fucking sorry, cursing that, but
you're good. You're
messes
good.
with your it messes with your mind and stuff like that. And I love that where you have this almost childlike medium, but you're telling this really weird, trippy story through it. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's what you're doing now, and that's something I've always enjoyed growing up. You know?
Part is so so you saw the first one that I did, the little cartoon one with the actual
Yeah,
socks, and then
of
I
course.
progressed to this new one, and it's so 50-50, like from people that have watched it on which one they like more.
Yeah.
But I think that the challenge of the second one is much more difficult, and I like the outcome better from the first one. You know,
Yeah, I like the second one too more, in my opinion. I think it was Spielberg that said it. Make stories, tell stories for yourselves, tell stories that you like, make things that you like, and then hopefully it will resonate with an audience somewhere. Because if you start pandering to the audience, you're not going to actually love what you're doing because you're making things for other people,
right?
and that's why I always say to people like. Kevin Smith said as well, if you don't like the stories you read or the things you see, make your own. And that's one of the reasons I started writing because
Right.
especially in horror, because even horror now is having this beautiful renaissance, thanks to people like Ari Aster and Rob Eagers, and really, and bringing the classiness back to horror, you know. And
Yeah.
that's the reason I started writing horror because I wanted to bring this like an almost intellectualness. I know back to horror that harkens back to the classics of The Shining, Rosemary's Baby, and I won't say River Bones is in the similar mold, but like I stayed away from having cheesy dialogue and
Right.
stupid tropes and cliched things, and try to make something original and ferocious. And like that's what I did. What I when I was starting writing, I looked at period pieces for ideas for dialogue instead of watching just horror,
Yeah.
because horror is beautiful in the way it's set in its tones and its scapes and stuff like that, but sometimes the dialogue can be corny.
Well, I also
Um,
think that so some of the best horror, in my opinion, is the stuff that could realistically happen as well. You know,
yes.
like the Bay. I think I don't know who
Mm.
directed that one, but the Bay was phenomenal. You know that
Put it up,
parasite,
Jamie.
huh?
Put it up, Jamie.
uh, pull it up.
Put it up,
But
Jamie.
anyways, you know, we're getting a little off topic for today's show, but whatever.
That's what we do, bro.
This is all we do. This is all we do. Anyways, you know, you got this parasite in the water, and it's 4th of July weekend, and it takes out this whole town. You know,
Awesome
because they're
movie.
all drinking the water, and it's just crazy because it's like that could potentially happen. You know,
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing. Like one of the reasons I like about historical horror as well is that you have very little like crutches. You don't have an automatic rifle. You don't have a bazooka. You don't have technology. Like, you know, it's more man against beast or whatever. And that's one of the reasons I focused on historical horror, because it has a more realness to it. Like, you know.
agreed.
But as you're saying, I see a really cool asteroid on the screen there.
Yeah, you know what? This is AI generated. Everybody, this isn't the actual 3 Eye Atlas, but this is one of the depictions of it.
Wow, more NASA lies. More
It's all
NASA
lies.
lies.
Um,
Nashwa, it's Hebrew
so
for deception.
how much do you know about 3 Eye Atlas? Like, have you been looking into it at all over the last couple weeks?
A little bit here and there. Just really what's been popping up on my feed, to be honest with you, because I haven't done too much of a deep dive, just for the reasons I was saying to you. I've so many projects going on. But
Yeah.
we spoke about this a while ago, and you sent me some
Mhm.
stuff, and
Okay.
I had some stuff up on my thread that I sent you. But
Right.
yeah, I know of it and I know what it is. So
So basically, I mean, what makes a comet a comet? You know, that's so up to speculation because we don't know much about outside of our system. You know,
yeah,
when we're talking interstellar here, there's so much we don't know. You
yeah,
know, and this is so this 3 Eye means third interstellar. This is the third object that we've intercepted on Earth um, since our advancement in technology that has come from outside of our solar system. So that's why it's called 3 Eye. Atlas means asteroid something something or another. So yeah, that's the
yeah.
acronym for it. It came from a cluster of stars back in July 1st is when we first noticed it. I can probably find a picture of it here.
Man, is there anybody worse at naming things than scientists?
Oh, it's the worst, man. It's
Oh,
so
they're the
stupid.
worst. Like
It
nearly
is.
every name to come up with is indecipherable, or like you cannot speak it like without having a fucking
Yeah.
master's degree.
Here's how they found it right here. They're like, oh, there it is.
It's because of its trajectory, though, isn't it? That's why
Yes,
its
yes.
trajectory is quite interesting. It's
So
flight path.
Professor Avi Loeb works at Harvard. He also is very tight knit. Works with NASA on a lot of projects. He's not a NASA affiliate, but he works. He coincides with them. Whatever. He has never said that it's not a comet, but he does say that he believes there's a 40% chance that it might be either an extraterrestrial probe or even a civilization from outside of our solar system,
Mm.
based on the trajectory path, based on the fact that it's coming at us at 133,000 miles a minute or an hour or something like that.
Yeah,
Either way, ridiculously fast. And he said that the its course of trajectory, which you brought up, which I'm going
yeah.
to pull up right here,
Look, this guy's
is like a 1 in 220 chance that it would be able to do this without it being planned, because it's following our planet's like plane of orbit, and
yeah.
that's not something that happens. It's not something that we see in past comets. Again, the part that I get here that's a little hard is that we don't know much. So this could have happened in the past, and we just never saw it because with the advancement of technology now.
James Webb
But
spotted, did he?
yeah, James Webb is the second one. So the first telescope that spotted in July 1st was in Chile. I don't know the location, but I do know it was in Chile that spotted it first. But our James Webb telescope has been following its path. And what do you think so far? I mean, as far as what we're talking about, I mean, do you know much about space and comets or anything
Yeah,
like that?
bro. I'm a fountain of useless information. Of course, I know about space. It's got planets, right?
Yeah, there's stars and gas and dust and things.
Well, like, first of all, I just want to say, right?
Right.
Is it real? Like, is
Yes,
it space?
NASA. I mean,
No, I mean, like, is space
space.
real? Yeah.
See,
Well,
and
bro,
that's another
I
thing,
believe we
man.
live on a flat plane, okay, bro? I'm gonna just put it out there, right? We're living on a flat plane, and they're just lights in the sky. We're living in the Truman Show. This is the
Yes,
firmament. I don't know, but for real, like,
I
I,
don't. So
I
I don't necessarily. First off, I believe space is there. Do I believe? I mean, could it be? I don't know, water or something else. I don't fucking know. I'm not out there. I don't know, but there's something out there.
you've been talking to fucking that dude too much. What's his name? Do you
No, I
remember?
haven't. I haven't, but there actually is a lot of there's a lot of like quantum theories and stuff that it's more of a fluid rather than a just
go
emptiness.
go swimming with them, bro. See
Yeah,
how you
let's
got
just get.
on.
It's only like what is it like? It's like 2.5 miles to get to the atmosphere. We'll just.
Yeah, bro.
It's not hard. We'll
Yeah,
just strap ourselves to
yeah.
a rocket and go.
Go snorkeling, see how it goes. But yeah, so I think looking at his trajectory, I wouldn't say like I'm like a physicist or some shit, like an astrophysicist, but I do love space documentaries. I'm pretty well read and shit
We'll
like
find a
this.
better picture.
So it does have an interesting flight path, and the speed that it's going at though is interesting too, because
There we
like,
go.
is it breaking apart? Like most things from space, if they're going at high speeds like that, tend to break apart bit by bit as it goes along. I don't even think it has a trail. Like most
It
comets.
recently, over the last like 2 weeks, it started giving off a trail, but it's
Oh,
not.
so
It's not a normal trail.
So if it is giving off a trail, it could be a comet because maybe because of the speed it's going, it's starting to heat up. And now the ice particles and stuff like that are starting to melt because that's what happens with comets. I think that's the difference
Yes.
between a comet and an asteroid. An asteroid is made of rock and a comet's made of ice and stuff like that, I think.
So most
Um,
comets that we have observed that have had a trail are dust and ice melting and trailing behind.
yeah. Yeah, so that's usually one of its signifiers, like one of its main characteristics, and
Right.
so like it's interesting. Like, look, I'm a sci-fi nerd. I believe in aliens. I believe in extraterrestrial life. Like,
Agreed.
it has to exist. Like, some of the stuff I've seen over the years, the Tic Tac, the David Fravor, Commander Fravor, sorry, his footage, the go fast footage, and like the stories from Brazil, and like there's just too much. Like, not everybody can be lying. If you look at like past events and stuff like that, I don't want to go too deep on ancient aliens and things like that, but it's not out of the realm of a possibility in my mind that it could be an alien craft. But I'm
Correct.
not going to here and commit to it because I hate being wrong. But like it could be anything. Like the thing is, its flight path is very interesting.
Right.
And it's showing characteristics. I think the stuff that I've read about it is that it's showing directional characteristics almost, like that it's a form of propulsion directing it. That it's not just blindly blasting its way through space.
Yes. Well, and that's the other thing is that with most comets that come into our solar system, the sun has some sort of a gravitational pull on it, so it throws off its trajectory. It's a little bit more rough. This has been on a straight course,
Mm.
and at the speed it's going, it's called hyperbolic acceleration, is what it is. So like it doesn't adhere to the gravitational pull of the sun. And that's
Yeah.
actually the last one at Moa was the same way, but it was also like a third of the size.
So did they? What's the previous one called? A Moa Moa.
Yeah, the one that was back in like 2014, I think, was a Moa.
And did they identify that as a comet eventually, even though
Yes,
it
it
had a
was a
hyperbolic?
comet. Yes, because it basically kind of just shot right through and out, but it didn't have the flight trajectory that this does. Like this is more, it was more rough. It wasn't like a straight line kind of curve to it.
Did it follow the same flight path as
No,
Tree Atlas? No, no.
no,
I
and
was like,
actually the
I
other
was like,
thing,
whoa.
and even NASA has discussed some of the rare things about it is that it's actually going opposite the rotation of our planets within the solar system. The
Interesting.
way it's coming through is opposite. And what Avi Loeb is saying is, based on where it came into the solar system and at the speed it was coming, for us to plan or even prepare for it was so short, such a short time frame, and we didn't even really get a good visual of it until about 2 weeks ago. And here in about 2 days, we're going to start losing that visibility because it's going to get closer to the sun. And
It's
then
going to go behind the sun, isn't it?
yes, so it's going to get close to Jupiter. It's going to get close to Saturn and close to Mars, I believe. And then it's going to basically go behind the sun at the exact same time that we're on the opposite side of it on October 29th. So between the 29th and the 30th, it'll be completely out of, like, we won't be able to see it no matter what anyways, but it's going to be behind the sun from us. And that's where Avi Loeb says that there's a lot of things that we do, a lot of tactics that we do to either accelerate or decelerate rocket boosters. And we
Yeah.
use the orbit of the sun. And he's like, this is the prime time. If it was an intelligent life outside, this is the exact path that we would take going into somebody else's solar system.
Because that's what the Apollo missions did with the moon. They went around it when they were leaving, so they could use
Yes.
the gravitational pull. It's like a slingshot
Right.
almost, the
Yes.
catapult.
So he's saying, basically, he's like, dude, I hope it's a comet. I'll be very relieved. But there's a possibility, and I think that we should at least accept that there's that possibility, which I think is stupid for NASA to be like, no, it's a comet. It's just another comet. It could be. It could be. But the characteristics of it, the trajectory path is the hardest one for me because the rest of the characteristics of it, like there's so much outside of our solar system. It could be another rock that we've never seen before, right? Um, it's giving off methane and CO2, carbon dioxide, which is rare. It's not something we see in most comets, which is why it went from a red light to now it's a green light that we're seeing because it's transferred to like a methane gas, which is throwing the tail into like this green hue.
So it's almost like it changed its form of propulsion.
Yes. And
That's interesting.
that's what's kind of stumping a lot of people. And again, this is all theories. Do we know? We won't know till the 29th, right? Or after the 29th. But
Yeah.
if let's go for this idea that maybe it is, right? What would be its purpose? What do you think it would be here for? Obviously, there's a endless reasons that they could be here. It's
Like
also 8 billion years older than anything in our solar system.
Dude, at this wait, what? It's 8 billion years
8 billion
older.
years based off of some of the, I don't know how they determine the numbers. Honestly, I think that they just, it's kind of like naming a Chinese kid, just throwing some silverware down in
Uh,
I didn't
I,
say that.
I,
I didn't say that.
it's like, well, that's going to be edited out.
Yeah,
Like
it's all
it's a
good.
beep, 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 and then the name will sound still Chinese.
If my boss at work is still watching, I'm just kidding.
Like if it is, just imagine, right? If it is 8 billion years old, right?
Yes,
What if it's like some sort of form of cryogenics? What if it's something that was being left afloat in space and that was recently become reactivated?
right. Well,
Because they said like,
the light source is actually from inside of it.
that's it's creepy though. Like if you think about like, but they said that they didn't know it where it was until recently, and only the last 2 weeks you said that they got a good
So
view of it.
July 1st is when they first saw it, but within the last 2 or 3 weeks is when they've actually been able to see, because enough of the what do they call it? The
Plume,
cone? Is it the plume?
the plume, I think.
Yeah, whatever it is around it. There's like this dust and gas buildup around it so that you can't actually see the object until it gets to a certain like closeness. And at the
How
speed of
did they know? How did they know how old it is?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, cause
NASA's put out articles talking about, pardon me, about how old it is. I
yeah,
mean,
natural deceivers.
and they're actually, anywhere from, they're saying it's anywhere from 3 miles long to 12 miles long. They don't even
I,
know that yet.
like because of the plume.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But like, no, what I think is, I don't know how they can date it, considering they've only known of its existence for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Like, or they can only see it properly for 2 weeks. I'm sure they know of its existence a little while
I'm gonna
longer.
look it up while we're talking. Continue.
Yeah, but like, I don't understand how they could date it because they've got no samples from it whatsoever. They probably don't even know its original or its like where it originated from. Like, you know what I mean? Because how
Says
long it
this,
was
this says the interstellar comet 3I Atlas may be one of the oldest objects ever observed, potentially over 7 billion years old, which would predate the solar system by billions of years. Astronomers estimate its age by tracing its trajectory back to the galactic thick disk, a region known for its older stars, suggesting it comes from a very ancient system. So they don't know. They just threw out a time based off what we do know.
well, they're saying like they're trace its trajectory back to a galactic thick disk. So like they're saying that system is very old. So what if it is like a cryo thing? Like, what if it is a probe that's been sent out from a dead system and then it just reactivated when it came into a system that showed signs of life?
Right.
That'd
Well,
be cool.
that would be
That's
pretty
a
cool.
story.
I think that's not actually a bad concept there. The theory that it was maybe, in my eyes, I was thinking more of like an advanced civilization that went through their own sources on their planet, and
Hmm.
maybe we're out. It's kind of like what we're trying to do. We're trying to colonize Mars. Maybe this civilization went through its sources and they're like searching for something else.
Mars is the only planet entirely populated by robots.
Oh, okay. Is that
Yeah,
true?
that is true. Yeah,
Like robots that we put there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Transformers as well, of course. We're not seeing the movies, do we? Wake up to the truth.
No, the dark
But
side
like,
of the moon has a whole civilization, dude. Okay.
yeah. Well, it was actually called the Dark of the Moon. Are you still talking about Transformers?
Anyways,
But
continue.
like, yeah, I like this idea of like, so they were able to track it from a very ancient system. It says here the potential age would be the oldest comet ever seen. But 7 billion years. I thought our galaxy was like 14 billion years, the Big Bang and all that jazz. Or is
Yes,
that
so they're
4 billion?
saying 7 billion years older than ours. Now they did,
Older.
yes, older. This says old, but
Yeah, I
I
think the
thought ours
wording is
was
a bit
only three.
confusing.
Yeah, I thought that
Is it?
ours was
Is
only
it
three
still?
billion.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
We're
I
only
don't know.
whippersnappers.
I can look it up. That's a good thing about this.
Put it up there, jukebox.
How old
Um,
is our solar
oh,
system?
he'll never type a word beginning with P. Watch.
Our solar system is approximately 4.6 billion years
4.6
old.
billion years old. So it's got 2.5 billion years on us.
Yep.
That's interesting. So, it's strange though. Like, what propelled it out of that? out of
Yeah.
that ancient solar system and into
I
ours.
feel like with that speed, I feel like
A
an
supernova.
explosion or something had to have happened. Did it fling through a black hole? I mean, I
Well,
don't
they're
know.
saying it comes from a system of very old stars.
Right.
So
Well,
the only thing
that's
I
when
could
it came into our solar system from that area.
from that area, but it
Yeah.
didn't originate from that area. They
Right.
just tracked it
Right.
to that area. So it
Yes.
could be even older still.
Yes.
That's interesting.
And that's the thing is like we're already losing. So let's say that it's on the trajectory path that it is. We have
Yeah.
this like 3 week window, and
Yeah.
then we won't be able to see it again until basically December, early December. A good visual once it passes Earth's orbit if it continues on the trajectory it's at. And then we'll only have like a month to kind of get whatever kind of information we can off of it, and we're already stunned by everything about it. So it's kind of
Mm.
historically it could change a lot that we know about space.
What we really need now is starting to check out who's the best goddamn oil driller on the planet. That's what we need to do. We
Yeah,
need to get because Bruce Willis is unfortunately down, so we're going to need to get Ben Affleck in here. Time to step up, Ben. Time to
seven.
step
What is
up.
it? What is it? What's that Bruce Willis movie where it's him
Um,
and Chris Tucker?
oh, Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker.
Yeah, it's the seventh something. What is it? I can't think of it. I'm not
Uh,
looking it up. We're getting too off track.
yeah. It's what
Let's
I'm here
say
for.
so. Yeah, it's great. So let's say that it is being controlled by an intelligence. Um,
Yeah.
what would you think that it'd be here for?
See, it all depends if it was sent. Like, it all depends really if it's set out from its galaxy
Hmm.
or if it's just a survivor. Because
Well,
if it's set out, it would have a purpose.
yes.
If it was just a survivor, it's just surviving. If that makes any
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Like it's just
No,
looking for a
no
place
mission.
to find. Yeah. The tough part is that they're also saying that the material on this comet is like 33 million tons or something, so it's heavy. It's not a light object. So if it is like some sort of ship and it was to come here, hopefully it would just land and not just crash into Earth, because I think that would cause a lot of issues.
I think though, like, what if it's a ship and you said there's a lot of like material. So what if it's a ship that because you said the light is coming from it.
Yes,
So
and so with the methane, so they said that there's methane and CO2, and as of the last few days, they're
yeah.
now detecting nickel and iron, deposits in the cone around it. Which, I mean, it's just there's too much about what's coming off of the object that's really throwing me off as it's not just a comet.
What if it's like a ship wedged in a piece of a planet? Like up
Well, if
above?
it's traveling through space and time, is it going to freeze? Is it going to get buildup of debris over years and years of flying through? Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
they could be hiding within that.
Yeah, or it could be just a huge ship that has its own like almost like a gravitational pull, maybe because
Mhm.
it's going so fast.
Well, it's
It's
probably got
hardly
some sort of a nuclear reactor within it. I mean, if you're talking about a light source coming from it,
cold fusion maybe or something like that. Like like or even dark matter. These
yeah.
other theoretical kind of propulsions and forms of energy and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like
I
it
would,
is
I would
interesting.
think, I would think that there's one. Stephen Hawking said years ago about don't send signals out into space because you don't know what's going to pick it up. And I think
Yeah, well, I doubt
that
if he said it as eloquently as that, but
no, well, it was more like it was more typed. It was more typed.
You said it, not me. Have you ever, and not to get like sidetracked again, but like, have you ever seen that video with his translator?
Huh.
Bro, it's the greatest thing in history.
I'll
Like,
look at it.
he's like, yeah, he's like, mumbling, and the guy goes, "Yes, I've always liked advanced puzzles and physics." And dude, it's the greatest thing ever. When people like the whole conspiracy theory that Stephen Hawking isn't a real person, that he was just playing a part. I was like, that's so stupid. Of course, he's a real person. And then when you watch that video, you're like, okay, like, maybe they worked out the answers beforehand, but like, that dude was literally translating from that. He's the greatest translator in history.
Right.
I'm just gonna. My headphones are dying. I'm just gonna switch out my headphones. Sorry, one
You're
second.
good. You're good. You're good.
All right. All right.
Right on. Right on.
Can
Yeah, I can hear you. You're fine.
all good?
Yep, you still sound the same. So if it's a mothership, so here's the other thing. If it's a mothership and it's sending out
Yes.
like these little probes, I think it could just be a mothership sending out probes onto these planets as passing just to kind of get some information on it, or
Like in Mass Effect.
what's Mass Effect?
Oh, have you never played Mass Effect? It's a trilogy. Well, it's four. There's four games now. There's the original trilogy, and you're like pretty much just like interstellar, intergalactic stories, and in the games in part one, I think you send probes down, you collect minerals from planets and stuff like that, and it's a RPG but set in space. It's a lot of
Right.
fun. There's three of them, and then I've never played Andromeda, but the first year really good. Except 90 hours I played those three games combined. Not one time do you fly a spaceship, except for this tiny one across the screen. It was so disappointing. So disappointing.
So, I mean, it's possible that that's it, but I would think that if it's traveling from such a distance, which we don't know where necessarily,
Yeah.
if it's here for our resources, they're going to do what we do, which is take us out, because we take countries out for resources all the time.
Yeah, it's that old saying, like anytime a civilization of inferior technology meets a civilization of advanced technology, the one that has the inferior technology, it does not bode well for them. Like you go back through time, hunters and gatherers, like Neanderthals with Homo sapien. Look at like places in Brazil in the rainforest, and like even like if you look at North Sentinel Islands, and where they're heavily protected. Like if you look back through time, the Aztecs and the Mayans against the conquistadors of Spain. Brazil, places like that, also against the Portuguese and the Spanish conquistadors, and they talk about the Phoenicians, which were highly advanced for their time. So, like, if they are a warfaring civilization and they're more advanced in technology than us and they're after our resources, yeah, we'd be fucked. Like, because it goes back and it kind of harkens back to the whole theory of the planet Nibiru, the Anunnaki. And the whole thing where they came here, they
populated
crossbred
us.
ape.
Yeah.
To as
You cut out. You're cutting out. There you are. I see you, but I don't hear you. Something happened on your audio end. All good. Your audio got all weird. I think you might just have to go into your settings and switch it, the audio. Like on your little box at the bottom, there should be like the three dots in the corner. You can change your settings. You might have to just change your audio output.
all good.
Yep. Boom.
All right, cool. Sorry, my USB came loose. Technology.
Oh, mine does that. Yeah, mine does that.
Yeah, I was adjusting the mic and the USB came loose. So yeah, I was just to finish out the point I was making. I'm just like, so if they are a warfare civilization and they come here, and if it is like what they talked about, the Anunnaki and the Nephilim, and we were a slave race that were pretty much advanced through technology from a different civilization, like to harvest gold, then it makes sense. If that really did occur, it could make sense for another advanced civilizations to come here and turn us into a slave race to harvest for them,
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Personally, think about. So I don't believe. First off, I don't think that we have been farmed. I don't think that we have these aliens coming and farming humans for information. I don't think that that's real.
You don't believe in the Anunnaki and Nephilim, and
I think that if if it is happening, it's more like the Greys doing it because they, maybe use their sources on a parallel, a parallel universe, and they're somehow crossing over into ours and kind of trying to create this hybrid race with our DNA.
Yeah.
That could be something that they're trying to do to try and revive their side. But again, that's so far fetched that I don't know that I believe that. That's just the only thing that I could think of that could make sense.
In terms of history, what I believe more in is like advanced civilizations that were suffered massive catastrophes like Atlantis that spread out. And when we look at these ancient texts and stuff like that, I think there were more advanced civilizations that came and advanced other human civilizations less than maybe aliens coming, but who am I to judge, bro? I don't know enough. There's so much
This
we
is
don't know.
this is an actual image of Three Eye Atlas that was captured 5 days ago.
Right.
So it's
That does
transitioning from the red to the green because of the nickel and the iron that's now coming off of it into the tail.
that does look like rocket boosters though, doesn't it?
It does.
Like it looks like two distinctive tails with a
I
gap in the
think,
middle.
based off what I've been reading, I think it's passing like Mars or something right now. So they're getting pretty clear images, but look how clouded and like the shape itself is still so hard to even see.
Yeah, it almost looks spherical in shape,
Right.
but it's hard to tell when the object ends and the tail begins.
Right. Let's see here. What else we got? Some of these say, let's see. I'm gonna find some more images. What do we got? What do we got? So dude, there's so many like thrown off videos of this that people just like they throw out the craziest theories that don't make any damn sense to me.
What do you have? Do you know any of them off the top of your head?
People are saying that it's actually once it passed Mars, it actually split. I haven't seen any other sources on that. And some people are saying that there's actually apparently there's 6 other objects that have recently, since we've found that have entered our solar system. I'm not seeing a lot of articles on it, but there are theories saying that it brought friends. There's something called Swan. That's the only thing that I've seen some information on. It's another comet that has entered our solar system, and it's going at a similar speed, but a different trajectory. And that's more recent. I don't know much about that one yet.
See, like the James Webb Telescope isn't that old, so maybe these things are more common, and we just haven't had the ability to see them and
That's
track them.
like we were talking about in the beginning. Yeah, the advancement of our technology, we just haven't really,
Yeah.
or we haven't really been looking specifically at that. We've been looking at
Yeah,
planets within our solar system, so we haven't been looking out.
yeah, because like for all we know, this could be more regular occurrence than we actually think it is.
Right.
But that's not fun to talk about. So like
No,
aliens, bro.
like how are we gonna be? Yeah, it has to be aliens. Who cares about a floating?
aliens.
Who cares about a floating rock flying?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's aliens,
Yeah.
but it's aliens.
But see, here's a theory. Some of the lighting that's coming off of it, they're like coming up with these ideas of what it could be. Beacons or water sources on the rock itself.
Well, water sources like that could be comets, though. Comets have like ice, lots of ice, and melting ice turns into water.
Possibly
Really
an alien
stupid.
ship towards Earth, arriving in November.
I love the way they say possibly an alien
Possibly.
ship. I love
Yeah.
possibly. I mean?
NASA says it acts like a comet. It's a comet, but they're really not giving much detail. And here's my thing:
and there's a mattress of lies.
my thing is why if there's even a chance, even if it's 98% that it's just a comet, cool. But if there's a chance that it could be something else, would you not at least acknowledge that?
Yeah, why would you bury it in a headline? Possibly an alien ship, bro. That shit should be in bigger font. You know what I mean? Make those letters bigger, bro. That's what the whole like. Anything has the possibility of being an alien ship. That's all we should be talking about.
Right. From what I'm hearing in Mexico, they're actually releasing on radios that they should be prepared preparing for an apocalypse at the end of October because of this.
Man, don't mind the Mexicans. They're mad for their apocalypse. They're going. They love an apocalypse. So like the Mayan calendar ends in 2012. They're like maybe it's the end of the world, or maybe they all just
Everybody
died and they
wants.
get to finish making
Everybody
their
wants
calendar.
it to be wants apocalypse, man. Everybody
Yeah,
wants because it generates
bro.
views and it generates
Everyone's
traction.
just,
The
everyone's
other
just sick of
day,
paying bills,
the other
bro.
day. Let's wrap up with this, and then they were. Did you hear about the rapture supposedly happening on the 23rd?
Oh, I can't wait.
No, on the 23rd, like 2 days ago. It
Oh,
happened 2 days
September.
ago.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
awesome, bro.
yeah, it was great. Did you see
What,
all?
you didn't get raptured? You didn't get raptured? Oh,
No,
what a
no.
loser,
I think what
bro.
I think happened was God flew over on his cloud craft, and he goes, "Oh man, nope, not this time."
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, I got raptured like for a couple of hours. It was pretty cool. You weren't at the rapture, bro? Wow, wow.
I even had a beer
You
with
know
the
what I
guy. It
mean?
was great.
Yeah, it's cool. Like Epstein was there. Weird.
That's too funny. So what happened was on September. I'm gonna look it up real quick as we kind of get to the end of this.
Rapture talk.
The rapture talk is what it. Yeah, that's what the trend was. That it was all over TikTok that the rapture was happening on September 23rd.
This
Because
is
this
incredible.
this gentleman right here to the left, this guy, talked about he's a pastor in South Africa who said that God came to him on September 9th and told him
Oh,
that the rapture was going to happen on the 23rd. So it blew up over like the course of like 3 or 4 days that the rapture was happening. People were selling their stuff and giving it away on Facebook Marketplace.
for real.
Oh yeah, I'm
Idiots.
like,
Some people are just dying to join a cult, aren't they?
that's literally. I mean, that's what it is. And anybody who is biblically knowledgeable knows that God even says in the Bible that no one will know. No, why would he tell anybody?
Yeah, like he's like, no spoilers. No,
Right.
no spoilers, humans. It's cool.
Yep.
It's cool.
Maybe Three Eye
Like,
Atlas. Maybe it's Three Eye Atlas, guys. Maybe Three Eye Atlas is here
yeah.
for the rapture.
Could you like imagine if that is God and he's just like, I
Yeah,
better go
it's
check
like
on these
War of the
people and see
World.
what's going
Like
on
the
for them.
rapture is like War of the Worlds. It just shows up and like zaps all these people into machines and takes them off.
Bro, the sirens in that movie were terrifying, but like a lot of that movie was so trash. It's like, oh, they got taken out by a cold or something.
Yeah.
I thought the ships were buried in our. So the ships have been buried in our like Earth's crust for the hundreds of thousands of years. So what? The first guys, what happened to the guys that put them there?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or did like that movie just didn't make too much
Didn't
sense.
so
But I did
wasn't it the
enjoy that.
lightning? Didn't they like ride the lightning into the ground and then they came out? Is that what happened?
Yeah, but yeah, the ships were there though. Like the tripods, the thing that
Yeah.
they use for the attacks, they were supposed to be there for like 100,000 years. I think they say in the story or
Yeah.
something like
Makes no
that.
damn sense.
So you know what I mean. So if they were there for 100,000 years, would there not have been like particles and viruses and stuff already on their tripods? So as soon as they went in there, they would have been contaminated.
I mean,
And
we're
the whole
confusing
story's
the shit
called.
out of this guy. Look at this guy right here. He looks confused as hell.
Man, that guy must be insanely confused. Like, what do you think? Do you think he must be like? Well, I always wonder about these cult leaders and these like, oftentimes even religious leaders. Do you think he believes in what he's saying?
Well, I don't know because the toughest thing is like when you become a false prophet, how do you follow up with that?
Yeah,
Because that's
you know
what
what
it
I
is.
mean. Like, yeah. So, like, do you think it really? Because you can start contorting things. Oh, I misread the science. Blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
like, do you think when people start cults, a David Koresh, just say, like Waco or this dude here or that cult in Japan and stuff like, do you think, like even Jim Jones, do you think they believe? Like, if you listen to some of Jim Jones's earlier preachings, like it's all about equality and loving one another. Do you
Yeah.
think they believe in what they originally espouse, and then they become perverted by power and
I think
corruption?
it's a psychosis. I really do. I think that that power kind of drives them, and then maybe they kind of create this alter ego within their mind.
Yeah, like compartmentalization,
Yes.
like.
Yes. So once they realize that they have the ability to they have this gathering of people that are following them, and then somewhere in their mind it becomes like separate that I'm in control, but it's really not them. It's like something talking to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they think it's God, but it's probably like they're
Yes.
schizophrenic or something.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like anybody could self become schizophrenic, like just
Yeah,
based. I mean,
self-actualized.
if 70 people came to me like, "Hey, you're the new leader," first off, I'm not going to feel that way. But if they're following everything I'm doing, I might have a different mindset. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they're saying, "Oh, you're hearing the voice of God," and then maybe after a while you start interpreting your inner monologue as the voice of God, or you start seeing signs where there was no signs, and then but see, that's the thing, but that's a guy who believes. What I'm saying is, do you think people start cults with the whole thing of look at Jim Jones, he started off as a preacher, grew into a massive following, and then he became a cult leader, and then it ended up with the massive the mass suicide at Jonestown in South America. So this is what I'm saying is look at David Koresh. He started off he was preaching and all these things and he got in the following and then he became drunk with power, and so did Jim Jones. Jim Jones became a methamphetamine addict and all these things. So what I'm saying is, do you think at the outset they crave power and that's why they start espousing these teachings? Or do you think they espouse the teachings they believe in and they gain power and they're corrupted by the power? Or do you think they were corrupted and they were sought power? That's the thing I always found
I
curious
don't.
about cult
I, I
leaders.
I would imagine it's probably a mix of both, right? Like if you interpret something and it's an opinion or a theory. I mean, we
Hmm.
have theorists all over the place right now. But if you interpret something and you think, oh, this is a possible theory, you put it out there and people are like, oh, so then you're like, oh, they people actually agree with me. I'm going to keep looking into this, and then it becomes sort of a cult following based off of
Yeah.
your interpretations, and then you're
And
like,
then
oh,
you
yeah, and then
yeah,
it
and as
just
soon as you start getting followers, then you get drunk on power, and then the old saying says, "Absolute power corrupts absolutely."
yes.
It just and to kind of circle back to Tree Eye Atlas, it's just was Tree Eye or Tree L? Tree L, no, Tree Eye, he's the
It's three
interstellar.
eye, three eye.
Yeah. So do you think right now there's doomsday cults preparing for the end times all
Oh, for
around the world?
sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, it's. I think it's a human nature for if you put something out there. There's a lot of like content creators that will tell you, the big name ones that are like, look, it doesn't matter what your niche is. You put it out there, somebody's gonna follow it. Somebody's gonna like it. So no matter if it's a doomsday preparation or a doomsday theory, no matter what, somebody out there is going to be gullible enough to believe it.
The cult of they.
The
Is that
the
was yours?
church of they.
The Church of they.
Uh,
uh,
the difference between mine is that you can definitely prove that people say they all the time.
yeah, I think right now the way like I think the way the world is right now, because everybody is in a state of disbelief and everyone is paranoid, everyone's suspicious. You got these divides that no matter what we think, no one's going to actually believe what the open narrative is about anything. So Tree Eye Atlas, as you said, it could just be a comet. And we spoke
Right.
about the advancements in our technology, like the James Webb Telescope, and how we're starting to see many more things from interstellar depths.
Yes.
We're starting to see things far off, and we're starting to see things at greater clarity that we once saw, like the pillars of creation and things like this. So maybe we're just getting better at observing these things, and
Correct.
maybe this is something that's new to us but happens more regularly than we believe, because we're just only observing it for the first time in this state. But it
Right.
doesn't matter what the narrative is given to us. Nobody's going to believe it. You're always going to be, because we just spoke about for about 35 minutes where we talked about
Yeah.
it could be a mothership. And no
Mm.
matter what the general narrative is, and oftentimes nowadays, because of the level of distrust in society, the more one particular narrative is spoken about, the more people are going to disbelieve it. And that's why I think it's
Right.
funny. So no matter if it is, as you spoke to about, just a comment that's doing its thing,
Yes.
nobody's going to believe it because
Right.
because they cover up.
Oh,
Of
it's
course,
just
they're
a
going to
cover.
tell us
Well,
a
the
comment.
thing is, so my thing is that our governments, collectively, like our countries, are the leaders. We are the dominant race, and we
Yeah,
can't accept that there could be something more intelligent than us.
yeah,
So, even if something is coming here and it doesn't have evil intention, if it's coming towards us, most likely our approach would be to defend our planet, even if it's collectively across the nations. And once we do something to defend our planet, they're gonna respond with,
I can
negative.
almost guarantee you Russia or China are going to side with the aliens.
Oh, they're
They're
just
just so
gonna,
stubborn. They just can't
yeah.
help themselves. They just can't help themselves. They just can't. Like, when has China ever been on the good guy side? I'm sorry, China. You were in World
No,
War
so
Two.
true. Well, they're actually have you seen that they're talking about creating a floating skyscraper?
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
What?
Yeah, they're
That's
gonna
near.
take an asteroid and put it in orbit, and then basically strap a skyscraper to it.
Who's doing that? China.
Yes, I'll look it up.
Oh, man, like,
Yeah.
you definitely know Trump's tariffs aren't working now. like,
The
like
worst.
that's nearly
Oh,
as
yeah, here
this
it
is nearly
is.
as crazy as the. Have you seen the line that the Saudi Arabians are doing?
The
The
what?
city through the desert, the line.
Uh-uh.
Oh, dude, you gotta check that out. It's just like massive, narrow city going hundreds of miles, 100 kilometers, whatever, through the desert. It's going to cost trillions of dollars. It's all made of glass almost. It's like a self-sustaining, hundreds of miles long one gigantic city.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
they're in
So
the process of building it at the moment.
floating skyscraper, China. I saw a news article about it. Again, all this shit could be fake, anyways. But
Yeah, but like it's fun to
it's
read.
an idea. The idea of it is crazy. So the idea is that they're supposed to take these skyscrapers and strap them to an asteroid orbiting Earth. Let's see, the rapid increase of population.
Have you heard that theory where some people think there's not as many people in China as they like to tell us?
I have not.
Because seemingly loads of people go over to China and they're like, "Where's all the people?" Like, and they've loads of ghost cities over there. They've got all these like ghost cities over there that they created, to increase their GDP, whatever way that works, when they were trying to become an economic superpower. Like, you check that out, and they've even got like a copy of Paris, which is almost completely unpopulated. Like
Huh.
they've got an exact copy of Paris in China.
I did not know that.
Yeah, dude. I followed this guy called Indico Traveler, I think, online. It's really good.
I'm gonna look. I'm trying to find the article I read, even if it's fake. It's
I've
still
noticed you
interesting.
haven't. I noticed you haven't typed anything beginning with P.
What am I supposed to be looking at?
Pornhub.
Pornhub? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dangling asteroid skyscraper proposal. There it is.
Wow. Terrorists are going to have a field day with that.
Oh yeah, but it wouldn't stay within the city. Would would it be operated by whatever nation it's over?
So that's just going to. So their plan is to put an asteroid in lower Earth orbit and
Mhm.
dangle a skyscraper from it, and
Yep.
have it orbiting the Earth
Yep. It
continuously.
says there's a decent chance that in the last few days you've seen images of Analemma, the futuristic proposal for Clouds AO to hang a skyscraper from an asteroid in orbit of the Earth. The project has been difficult to avoid, having been picked up not only by much of the architectural media, but also by NBC, CNN, Forbes, The Telegraph.
I love the way they describe them as architectural media, and then they
Yeah.
go, but also NBC, CNN, like they're not architectural media.
Yeah, look, there it is. Got an asteroid just dangling. like a
Oh
hot
my
air
god!
balloon, and they're just gonna dangle a skyscraper from it.
Oh my god! How? Like, how can you
Oh, it says
support so much
it says
weight?
as surprising as some may find this, it's actually becoming increasingly feasible, with NASA hoping to place a small piece of an asteroid in orbit of the moon by 2021. Oh, this is an old article. The much larger asteroid. So this has been an idea for a while now. 27-kilometer tall skyscraper in Dubai.
I love
Huh.
how humans are like, one of our greatest fears is being struck by an asteroid from space, and then NASA are like, oh, we
Let's
could
just
put loads
utilize
of
it.
them in orbit. Yeah, let's just
Let's ride it.
yeah, let's just hang some shit from them. Why not?
Let's There's just useless
Man.
rocks. Let's make it useful.
You're like, oh, we don't have enough space on Earth. Let's just start dangling shit from our ceiling like Christmas ornaments. You know?
Next thing you know, you're
Oh
gonna have
god.
like an international like floating prison of just like international thieves.
Yeah. It's like we're becoming more and more like marvelistic and like super like hero world. Like we're like, oh, we have all this cool technology. Let's not cure world hunger.
Yeah,
Let's not like
don't worry
have
about our
free
own problem.
medical care. Let's
Don't worry
just
about our
dangle
own
some
problem.
shit from our ceiling. Like, that it
Um,
kind of harkens back to Christmas again. You're at Christmas. You're like, well, I pay my bills. Nah, we just get some shiny stuff and hang
here,
stuff from the ceiling. And it's like,
here's something I saw. Here's something I saw yesterday. Russians Noah's Ark satellite. Have you heard about that?
no.
Okay, so they sent 75 mice and 1,500 flies into space. Who knows how much this project cost?
How much
Um,
fucking is going to be done on that spaceship? Holy, like what kind
so
of hybrids are you going to get from
yeah, no
there? Like,
joke. So they sent it into the basically just into the radiation, like the highest radiation levels of the Earth's orbit.
yeah,
Um, and they left it up there for 30 days and brought it back down. And they're testing to see if it's possible that life came to our planet from space.
panspermia.
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit of a proponent for panspermia. I think like octopi and octopus stuff, like
Mm.
the cephalopods, they believe like it's very hard to trace their genomes back through time. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of people do believe that they might have come here through panspermia and how they're so intelligent, their ability to camouflage and adjust to their environment, stuff like cuttlefish and
Yep.
octopus. A Russian biological research like to more than 30. Well, like why didn't they just fire that sucker at the Van Allen belt, the Van Allen radiation belt? Like, you know what I mean? It's fucking,
Right.
it's mice and flies. Like, you want to
Yes.
figure out, like,
Yeah.
where we came from. Fire it at that. I want to find out because I hear Joe
The Van-
Rogan speaking about the law, the Van Allen radiation, but I want to find out
yeah.
if biological life can make it past there. Because if it can't, then did we go to the fucking moon? That's the
Right.
question. Like, we
And
have to
where
find
are
out
they saying that the Van Allen belt is? Where is the
where this.
Van Allen belt?
Like we'd have to pass through it. It's a certain distance from Earth. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure you have to pass through to
I
go
got
to
the
the
internet
moon.
pulled
But
up.
but
Donut-shaped zones of energetic charged particles trapped by Earth's magnetic field in space, acting as a protective shield against harmful solar winds.
yeah. So, but you have to pass through it to go into deep space.
Right.
And they're saying is that they find it very hard to send biological life through because we don't have the shielding to protect them from the space particles and the solar radiation and all this cosmic
Right.
ray stuff. Like, the theory is that we cannot pass through it. That's what they say. Joe Rogan speaks about it on JRE a lot. That
Yeah.
they have not been able to put biological life through past it because of the radiation levels. So if that's an improbability or an impossibility, then how do we ever go to the moon? And
Right.
then they're talking about how can we ever go to Mars? Because it's all about how much radiation and how much solar radiation and like particles and stuff like that. Because you're constantly in space, astronauts, no matter where they are constantly bombarded by levels of solar radiation and particles and stuff like this. So
Right.
if like, that's the thing about that's they say what's preventing us for doing the 8 month or it depending on where we launch from, it's either 18 months to Mars or it's 8 months.
Right.
So that's what they say is preventing deep space travel is the fact that the human body cannot absorb that kind of radiation over
Well, we don't have the material that's strong enough to break
shield it.
through it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that theory too. I didn't know really what it was, but that makes more sense now.
Yeah, because like that's why the astronauts tend to very rarely go. I know certain astronauts go into lower orbit for long periods of time. I think, like John Kelly, I think he went up for over a year. I think he was one of the longest serving astronauts in history. They had the two
Yeah.
people recently that got stranded in space. That's why they keep astronauts on a rotation. It's because of
Every
muscular
6 months or whatever. Yeah.
because of muscular atrophy, bone density, and radiation absorption. And these are the
Yep.
things that prevent deep space travel. They say.
Which really makes the Earth itself kind of like a impressive and like the way that it works, like that it can prevent things from getting in as well.
Yeah, it's their magnetic field, that absorbs and deflects, and maybe going back to Triad Atlas, maybe the best way to shield yourself for intergalactic travel is by space rocks around your because what goes through space more than space rocks, asteroids and comets, right? So they're
Right.
obviously have some sort of like ability to survive in the harshness of space. All right, they don't break apart, they don't like wither, they don't erode over time. Like, well, they will, but a lot of the times they start gathering because of gravitational pull.
Right.
And so, what would maybe the best way? Maybe like we look at Triad Atlas and it's given off all these characterizations of a comet and it's also giving off these characterizations of self propulsion. What if the best way to shield yourself for interstellar travel is to put a spaceship inside an asteroid or a comet and
Right.
use that as shielding? So when you propel yourself through space, that you're protected from radiation and
One
dense
and
particles.
who even knows what like the temperature is like in this vacuum too? I mean, so whatever buildup it's collecting through its
Mm.
path, I mean, it could be so
Frozen
strong that
particles.
as it's breaking down, entering our atmosphere, if that's what it's doing, then that
Yeah.
would make sense.
Like, and maybe it's a case of like it's going so fast that like maybe it's a case of this that it's traveling through the depths of space, which are horrifically cold and uninhabitable, that it's freezing because of the coldness of space, but because it's going so fast that it's freezing and melting the frozen particles at the same time. Maybe
Right.
it's constantly in a cycle that it's going so fast that it's melting the things that are constantly being frozen to it. New things get frozen to it, and it's constantly melting. That's why it looks like a comet, but it also looks like self propulsion. These are
Well, and
other
they're
theories.
saying so. Okay, so science says that we're 4.6 billion years old as a solar system. This is
Yeah,
7 billion. How long have you humans been around? As far as we can date back, what 2,000 years, 1,500 years,
no, more
2,100
than
years.
that.
How far
Two
back can
hundred,
we?
going back to like Neanderthals and stuff like that. That's tens of thousands of years.
Okay, but that's still minute compared to billions.
Yeah,
Like so if there's civilization on this, then and it's that old based off what's coming off of it, that means that it's been out there for a while.
yeah,
You
and
know?
that's the thing. Like, and that does kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier about cryogenesis, like cryogenesis. That maybe this is the last of a dead society. Almost like Superman and Krypton. That,
Yeah.
and that will decide then really
They show
ultimately
they
if
show up. They end up like taking these little vessels off of 3i and come into our atmosphere, and then they're like, "Hey, there's something coming." They
but dude,
already took us
if it's
out.
Superman, it's coming to Kansas. Yeah, but that's
Smallville.
what I mean. Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, it's there's so many things. So if it is this type of sentience, like
Mm,
its reason for traveling from wherever it originated from is obviously going to dictate its mission or its objectives when or if it actually comes in contact with Earth. Like,
yeah.
as we spoke about earlier, it's like if it's sent here, that's one thing. If it's just coming here because it's spotted signs of life, then it could be like something else. And like if you just look at like the ancient Syrians, like how did they have such an in-depth knowledge of deep space or
That's
solar
what gets
system?
me. Like, I feel like there must be things that we were taught, like based
Hmm.
even though like a lot of like the Egyptian hieroglyphics,
Yeah,
and some of the signs that they've posted are of other civilizations coming and bringing us things and teaching us stuff.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, so either it goes back to ancient civilizations who had pre-knowledge of the cosmos through advanced technology in the same way we do, and they got wiped out and they just passed on their knowledge to these less advanced civilizations, thus advancing them in the process. Or they got visited from people that came from the cosmos. Because if you look at this, the ancient Syrians, they had like a knowledge of Ceres, is it?
Yes.
That's not visible by the naked eye.
Right.
And they had its positioning almost perfect which we figured out through telescopes. Like, so like there's so many questions. And then they talk about Egyptian dynastic times and they say, oh, this period of the dynastic time, they don't count. That's myth.
Yeah.
We this is true. And then they go to Syrians. If you look at their kings, the older kings lived for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden they started living human lives. And they say about the earlier ones, go, oh, it's myth.
It's
But
myth. Yeah.
why? Why is it myth? Why did they? Why is it in their kings lists?
Yeah.
Why did the ancient dynastic Egyptians? Why did they keep records of all these things if they're myths? And then why did they join them in and mash them in together with their actual history? That makes no sense.
It
Why are
does.
we just why are we fobbing off entire periods of time because we lack understanding of them instead of trying to gain
Well, that's
understanding
like
of them?
diving into like the
You
whole
know?
mud floods and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Burying
like
whole civilizations.
exactly, and Tartaria and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
I've checked out that, and they talk about the land of Mu and Lemuria and Atlas or Atlantis. Like there's so much. Like I just think people are so quick to say, "Oh, it's myth and fantasy," instead of
Well, it's not
saying,
hard. What does it
"Why?"
take? What does it take? About 70 years to kind of just weed out the people who do know because they're no
Yeah, like
longer here.
I think like is it the ancient city of Medina? Pretty much there was a massive battle there. It was razed to the ground. It was this gigantic city, massive, and the Romans were passing through a couple of hundred years later, or less than 100 years later, or something like that. And they came across this gigantic abandoned city, and the commander said, "Why is this city? Why don't we know of it? Where is its people?" And they said it's Medina. It was once a great city, and they told him the history of it. And in that moment, the Roman commander was like, "What if this happens to Rome someday?" It was like, "How can such an amazing civilization, how can such an amazing city just disappear and we have no knowledge of it?"
Yep.
And they said it existed only recently in terms of historical precedents. And like that's the thing, like how long does it take for a culture, a technology, a civilization to disappear without a trace? Look at ancient Egypt. You cannot say,
One
oh,
generation.
yeah, exactly. You cannot say that the more modern version of ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramids because their pyramids were trash. Because if you go through progressiveness of technology, the technology should improve over time. And if it doesn't improve over time, it means there was a loss of the transfer of knowledge, and
Right.
that's more evident in Egypt than anywhere else. Because they say, oh, it had to be. I think they said it was Seti the first that built the Great Pyramid because his
Right.
name is on it. But if you look at the Steelers on the front of the Sphinx, it talks about a restoration work. You can't date the Stela and the Sphinx at the same period because it speaks about restoration, and you don't restore something that you just built. You restore something that pre-existed. You know,
Yes.
so that's what I'm saying. There's so our understanding of something like Tree Eye Atlas, I think it would have been completely seen differently in history if they had a knowledge of it. They would have seen it as some sort of forthcoming, or like
Right.
they like you know what I mean. They would have seen it as, but we try to rationalize everything to the point that we take away the open mindedness from
The
it. That
credibility
I
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said to you earlier as well. Like if you keep selling one narrative and you keep rejecting every other narrative, even if the narrative you're selling is correct, the fact that you're so staunch, people will start disbelieving that narrative. And
Yeah,
you,
I think
that's the problem.
what you're talking about is like deflection, right? The idea that it could be something other than this, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it could be that. You're not wrong. It could be that, but
yeah,
there's a possibility that it's this. Just like the
yeah,
idea of sound creating the Egyptian pyramids. If you get
yeah,
into the quantum theory of it and like the vibration and a certain sound frequency moving the rocks and building the pyramids, which does, in my opinion, make sense because we have proof that certain sound does create certain vibrations and patterns within
yeah,
sand, water molecules. I mean, there's so many
yeah.
tests that we've done that prove that it does exist.
Bro, I'm telling you, those Egyptian motherfuckers did not carve
No,
them with copper chisels.
no.
Look at the symmetry in some of their statues. Like, come on, look. If you go to the Incas and like you go up to Machu Picchu and you look at places in like the Aztecs, Teotihuacan, like there's just no way you're putting that shit together with copper age technology. It just
No,
doesn't happen. It just doesn't
no,
happen. Like
not
I
with
don't
the
care.
kind of
They say it took 20 years to build the Great Tower, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Come on, bro. 20 years.
yeah.
20
No,
years, bro.
let's be real here.
Yeah, come on. Like it's been thousands of years and we can't figure out how they did it, but they were able to figure out how to do it in 20. If you think
Yes.
about it logically that way. So they
Well,
figured out how to conceptualize and build it in 20 years, but yet we cannot figure out how they did it over thousands of
I
years.
mean, we
Makes no
put
sense.
an astronaut on the moon in the 70s, and now we can't replicate it.
Dog ate their
That makes
homework,
no
bro.
damn
Like we
sense.
said about
It makes
we
no
spoke
sense.
about Yeah, on the podcast with Sean, we like the dog ate our homework. It's to give the worst excuses ever.
Mhm.
Oh, did we threw away the technology and it's too expensive to replicate,
Mhm.
bro? Elon Musk is sending cars into
Yeah.
space. Like
Yeah.
you're saying that, like you know what I mean? He put a Tesla in space in our orbit, and you're saying that what we don't
Starlink.
have the
Come on now.
technology? Yeah, like the
Now he's got.
ISS is
He
more.
just released a Starlink phone. Have you seen that?
No, no, you serious?
Yeah, it's like a
How much
seven
does that
hundred.
shit
It's like a
cost?
$780 phone, which is not that
That
much
is
considering.
not crazy
No,
because the
because the
iPhones
phone I
are.
have, the Z Fold, is like $1,300. But it's a
You for
Starlink
real?
phone that you can literally travel anywhere and have internet. you
Yeah,
know,
but
that's
like most
crazy.
phones kind of have that now. But like you know, Elon Musk is kind of the guy that answers questions that nobody's asking, and like he's like,
And
oh, let's put tunnels under
making
Los
people look
Angeles.
stupid by doing it, and it's great in my opinion.
Yeah, like yeah, but some look, he's a genius, and like I love his mindset where he's like he's so ambitious in terms of like he's almost trying to future proof humanity, which is
Mhm.
incredible.
Right.
Um, but like I just think like certain things are like, bro, yeah, solar energy is cool, but like you try end world hunger, like you know what I mean? Like just do things that actually like they always talk about the future of humanity.
Uh,
Fix the fucking now.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fixed it now, bro. Like, you
right.
know, it's like, oh, future generations. Well, like
Uh,
if we keep starving and murdering people en masse, there's not going to be future generations to go to
well,
Mars, you know?
you mentioned about how smart he is, and that's why I pulled this up because I actually do want to do a follow up on. I
Boy,
think
Cavalier.
we should do an episode on this once you're caught up. But because the boy genius in this, and I don't want to give away too much, but the boy genius in this creates basically these synths, and their first sets, which you'll find out that there's more to it, are like
Yeah,
these kids that are dying and sick that they transfer into these synth bodies.
yeah.
I think that's the direction we're going, man. I do think that's
It
the direction our
like
civilization is going.
downloading consciousness is a theory that's happened a long time ago. Like a lot of people talk about the singularity. Is a Alan Kurtzfeld, what's his name? If you could just check that, Alan Kurtz, something I can't remember his surname, but
Let's see.
he spoke about the singularity and Alan, I think it
Curtis?
begins
No.
no Kurt begins with K, I think. Um,
Kurtzfeld?
Kurt, Kurtzfeld or something like that. I think.
Kurtzfeld.
Yeah, Kurtzfeld. So I think he's the guy that speaks. Is that the guy that speaks about the singularity and
Case of
stuff like that?
Curiosities. Let's see. Whipping Boy, Leon in the Spitting Image. I don't know. Doesn't say. This guy?
Shit. Yeah, I think that's him. But like, so just in case it's not him, but when people speak about the eventual singularity that they expect to happen, the advancement of artificial intelligence paired with the technology, something similar to what Elon Musk is doing with the Neuralink, that eventually our minds and machines will meld, and then eventually we will discard our human body and be able to upload our consciousness to a
Right.
synthetic vessel or whatever. Like you know,
There was something I watched on TikTok the other day, and I loved it. And it was this guy being interviewed, and he says, "If I took one of your brain cells and I replaced it with an
my
AI,
last one.
do what?"
I said my last one.
Oh, he said, "If I replaced one cell within your brain with an AI generated cell, and you had no
Yeah.
clue of it, at what point, if I kept doing that over time, at what point is your consciousness no longer there because you don't know that it is now AI, right?"
That's the theory. That goes back. That's an old shipping thing. That's like a new age version of the ship. Like if you constantly keep rebuilding the ship, eventually is it the same ship?
Right.
You know that kind of thing. Like so,
Yeah,
it's
same
they talk
theory.
about
And
yeah.
they have that sort of technology now. We have that technology to do that. We can replace dead cells with computers. Like that's something we already do. So if we can do that with the human mind, what point is the and you don't even acknowledge that it's being changed over the course of the time. At what point are you no longer a human and more of a computer?
See, the thing is, like, isn't it the age old thing? Humans are in search of immortality. We're all terrified of death and its finality. Like, it's the issue is like it'd be the wrong way around, in my opinion. If you put artificial cells into an organic body, then it's kind of defeats the purpose, because our mind is oftentimes, it's not the issue, it's the fact that we are constantly regenerating cells, eventually mutations happen, and that's how we become cancerous. So it's our organic body is the problem. It's not really the mind, because our mind is electrons and stuff like that, and we can
Yeah.
create like it's. I think it's the wrong way around. I like the idea, and it's like what you said. Eventually, when do you become not human? Like, what is the percentage
Yeah.
of brain cells to human cells,
And what's
artificial cells to
operating it? Like what's really
yeah,
operating your decisions? Is it the AI, these AI computer cells, or is it these, is it you?
yeah,
Um, and there's even more depth to that, as far as like we are energy, and you can't destroy energy. So what happens? Because we have you can go get X-rays of the energy flowing within your body.
yeah.
People do it every day. It's there, and you can't destroy it. So when we die, obviously the physical bodies aren't energy; they're just a source. But there's an energy flowing within us. Where does it go? Right? Like it goes somewhere.
What did it say to Stardust? We go Stardust. We were made, or something.
Uh,
Like everyone says that we become part of the universe,
right.
and that's infinity. But like I don't know, man. I think it's very believable that if we are based on electrodes and like neurons and all these things that are like electrical in terms of their impulses and how we're actually, are wired in our minds, that maybe eventually that you can download someone's consciousness. But it's like the whole teleportation thing that I always talk about. Is it you that's teleporting on the other side,
Right.
or is it just a copy of you? If they upload your consciousness to a machine, to a synthetic body, will you still exist, or will you still have the same perception of reality of you, like, or will you still die and it's just a
I
copy of
think
you
that
that acts like you?
I think that initially you would think that it was you, but you would quickly find out that it wasn't, based off the experiences that happened after the replication, right? Like, because I don't think you can physically, unless we somehow could, break down our particles like Willy Wonka and
Yeah,
transfer a body to something else. Like, that would be the only way I could think of physically moving. Like, you would have to break down our particles and our atoms and move them from one place to another. Now, mentally in our mindsets, I think that we could probably project a replication of it, but I don't
yeah.
think that it would be
No,
that.
but I mean, like, if I get my consciousness and take it from my body, my mind, and upload it into a synthetic body, yeah,
Yeah.
will I still be the one perceiving reality, or will it be just a copy of me, and I will no longer exist, and the copy thinks it's me, but I no longer exist? Like, my
Well, with an
perception will
alien
change.
Earth, I mean, with the alien Earth concept is that those
Yeah,
bodies are gone, right? And so
it's a
they're all,
it's a direct upload,
yes,
and they still experience reality as the person, because they recognize that that was their body. But like, that's still, I ask the same question. They're still perceiving it that was their body, but they still existing in the same level of perception. Like what I'm saying is, this was always been my fear about this thing where they talk about eventual organic uploading into synthetic existence.
have
That
you have you seen
will
this
they
at
be?
all?
I seen the first season, I think. But my thing is, I understand that the synthetic version of me can perceive reality in terms of, like, if it was Vinny.
Right.
But what happens to my perception of reality? Do I
I don't
just
think it exists anymore. My
that's what I'm
opinion, I
saying.
don't think. Yeah.
I think I just die, and there's just
Well, because
a
there's
pretty accurate photo
there's
of
no
me.
consciousness to it at that point, right? Like you basically, your consciousness was uploaded to a USB flash drive and inserted into a synth. You know,
Hmm,
So
that's
now
what
it's
I'm
just a
saying. But
compute. It's a computer generated coding at that point. It's not even. It's not because your consciousness. What is your consciousness? You
yeah,
know.
exactly. It's
I
not
mean, we
ones
don't,
and
it's like
zeros.
gravity. What can you prove it? It's there. How do you prove it? It's still
Yeah,
there. I can't. But I've had this discussion about consciousness as well. Like, is consciousness you, or is it like your ego?
yeah. Like, what's that voice in your head? You have an inner monologue.
Mm-hmm. And I don't
Like,
think
just
that. So
individual
you
has that.
can't be the observer and the voice. So like, if there's a voice within your head, because we all have these thoughts constantly running in our head, right? These voices
Yeah,
that are telling us to do things, like, but it's not us, because we're not the ones actually saying it. They're just going.
Yeah, like how many times does the voice in your head have a completely different thought stream than what you perceive to be the correct way to think
Or
things?
you're like working on a task and totally forget what you were thinking about because the voice changed it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like there's often times where like I'll be chastising myself in my inner monologue in a sense that like the voice in my head seems to perceive reality slightly differently than the outwardly Vinny does, and something
Right.
that's almost like you've come to this form of inner compromise with
Mhm.
the like with your inner monologue, and like so. The question is, do we exist in two different planes of existence? Our internal existence and our external existence, and then what is really existence, and then what is consciousness? Is the consciousness the outward Vinny that experiences the world as I'm talking to you right now, or is it the inward Vinny that experiences the world inside my mind? Like these are the things that I'm fascinated by,
Me too. We actually we should dive into this on an episode too because I love this. There was a who I gotta research the people that I listen to. Um, there's someone who was talking about if you were to listen to the blank spaces between the words that are being spoken in your thoughts, that's you. The purity of the emptiness between the words, that's your mind. That is you. So like if you were
Hmm.
to separate your thought by the words that are being spoken to yourself and your mind, there are gaps between the words. And those gaps, if you could focus on those, there's a purity within it that is actually you. And I'm like, that's crazy to think about, but I feel like it's not possible for a human mind to do that.
Like sometimes, like I have this saying about people. In the moments of hesitation, people often tell you exactly what they're thinking. Like in moments of quietness, people often speak the loudest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. Like, because usually when like if I am working with someone or I want to collaborate with someone, if they have a hesitation, I usually go, okay, I'm out. I usually go straight away, I'm out. And it's not because I don't trust the person. It's like that hesitation,
Mm-hmm.
that's doubt. That's their answer.
Right.
If they like when someone hesitates and then they agree with you, oftentimes the answer is really they don't believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the hesitation is the real answer. And maybe that's what you mean by like in the gaps.
Yeah.
It's like the inner consciousness said to them, "Oh, you should say yeah to be polite,"
Yeah.
but the real version of you hesitated, and that was the gap, and that was the real answer. You know what I
Well,
mean?
let's
That
say
was the
let's
clarity.
say okay, so there's let's say you go to a garage sale and you buy a jacket and there's $700 in the jacket pocket and your mind is saying just keep it. They don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
But then you end up giving it back out of, whatever. What is it? That's you. That's not the thought, right?
I'm definitely keeping it.
I'm keeping it too. But
Yeah,
that's
I'm keeping
it's
it.
just
Come
an
on.
example.
I
It's
bought the
just an
jacket.
example.
It's bonus level, bro. Bonus level. It's added content. You
Hey,
know.
this $20 jacket just made me $700. Fuck
It's an
it.
investment, bro. It's like I just bought a stock. All right. You know what I mean?
But no, I get it. But it's just an example, right? So like that's what I'm saying is your mind is
The
telling you to keep it,
morality.
but for some reason, like your impulse is to give it back. That's
Yeah, it's
that's
because
you.
that's your societal impulse. It's like your inner morality and the morality that's projected on you through societal roles. So
Mhm.
pretty much, if you're a believer in good and evil, right and wrong, society says to you, if you find something that it's rightfully not yours, you should return it to its rightful owner.
Uh-huh.
But within you, you might have a different set of
Mhm.
morals because the morals set to you by society and the morals that you create through your own experiences are often two different things. Because, like, I know society will say to me, you should give back that money. And but I'm thinking in my head, well, bro, I just bought the jacket.
Mhm.
Technically, it's mine because I own the jacket.
Right.
Possession is 9/10 of the law. So, transit of property, it's now my money. That's the way you could
Yep.
view it yourself.
Right. They so there's the way that the more I dive into like quantum thoughts and things like that, the idea of our quantum and entanglements and things, I think about structure and how like society as we're raised, it kind of creates our consciousness, right? So we based off experiences, our consciousness adapts based on things that we've learned or done or have happened in our
Nature and
past.
nurture.
Right. But that's not so that is the ego. That's the consciousness is the ego, which is separate from you. So it's telling you what to do based off past experiences, but it's not necessarily the right answer.
Yeah, they talk about the super ego and stuff like that, like,
Mhm.
and they all this the super ego is a construct of the brain, and it oftentimes lies to us to
Mhm.
protect us. Like, if you they say, like, people's memory is often one of the most inaccurate things, non-reliable things, because when you remember something, oftentimes even you paint yourself as a victim, or you try to paint yourself in a more positive light, because the super ego is trying to protect you from self-hatred or self-loathing. It's self-preservation,
Right.
and I think that's what I was saying. Like, I think there is two different states of morality: your inner morality and the societally accepted forms of morality. And this is where nature and nurture comes into. What is your actual nature as a human being, and how were you nurtured in terms of your domestic situation, in terms of the society you grew up in terms of the culture that influences your decisions.
Right.
And that's why even in strict, like, societies, you'll still have people that will go against the curve, because it's their nature
Mhm.
going against how they've been nurtured. And that's just a
That's how
thing that's always.
I've been having this argument in a lot of, when I do go on to TikTok lives where they talk about religion, and I talk about how sort of structure is actually a limitation of the mind, right? So, like,
Yeah,
no matter what the religious belief is, and if it's a positive impact on you, that's great. But I think that structure limits the potential of the mind, right?
yeah,
Um, Now, religion, with as far as grounding, there's people that could use it for grounding and sort of like a reset if they've lost their way, but
yeah.
I don't necessarily think that religion is the right path as far as like reaching the full potential of what the mind can achieve.
Especially when we're still adhering to doctrines that have come, what, thousands of years ago.
Uh,
Like, I know people speak about the Catholic Church and Catholicism going through a period of enlightenment, but, like, we're still looking at Abrahamic religions. The three Abrahamic religions pretty much controlled the planet. Like, we're talking about Islam, Catholicism, and Judaism. When in any other period of human society have humans allowed themselves to be dictated by things that were set out to the thousands of years previously? Look at the Romans. The Romans were constantly changing their religious beliefs. There were pagans and there were Catholics and whatnot. And you go back to the Etruscans, and they believed in different things than the Romans. And you look at, like, Egypt, they went from polytheism to monotheism, back to polytheism. And,
mm,
like, I just think that it's crazy now in a world where it's 2025 and the highly advanced technological societies that we live in,
mm.
that we're still adhering to doctrines that was. How can somebody that existed 2,000 years ago dictate to me how I should behave in today's society?
Right.
And the fact
Well,
that we allow those doctrines still to
well, that's why we have.
control.
That's why they have the New King James version.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, come on. I'm an Irishman. I'm an Irishman. I'm never listening to any English king. That dude could be right all the time, but
uh,
I'm an Irishman. I'm not listening to some English king. You go
right.
suck a dick. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you got like 75 different people who rewrote, the New King James.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
it's
But,
just a person writing it. It's what it is.
the Bible went from Aramaic to Latin to
Mm,
Greek to English,
yep.
and everybody knows from any good movie reboot, the next writer, the next director is going to put their own spin on the story, and
Yeah, it's an impressive book. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
Yeah,
of
there's a
course,
lot of good
and
in
it's
it. I'm not saying that any of it isn't
interesting
true.
read.
Yeah.
Interesting read, and Catholic and Catholicism, the way it's written is beautiful. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's scripture, the way scripture is worded is absolutely beautiful. It's some of the best writing you'll ever read in your entire life. But that doesn't mean it's real, because
Yes.
it's beautiful, and and that's my problem. And even if it is real, it
Romeo
still
and
has no.
Juliet is beautiful too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can learn lots from Gandalf, like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm just saying, like, even if it's real, belief systems that were set up and have their origins thousands of years ago have no place dictating modern society. And I'm that doesn't come from me. Look at history. Like I mentioned, no other advanced civilization of its time stuck and adhered to religious beliefs set up thousands of years ago. They had
Right.
their own interpretation of the gods. The Greeks and the Romans, who had looked up at the sky and had their own interpretation of the same things they were looking at, and they
Mhm.
allowed each other's interpretations to inform one another, because you
Well,
had
even
the Greeks were constantly being invaded and they were migrating into Rome and stuff like that. Like, as the Romans said to the Greeks, send us your doctors, your mathematicians, your philosophers, we'll
mhm.
take them in.
We
Like, it,
when they took over the United States, when we started taking over this land from the natives, even the stories they told us were based off of the stars, and what the stories they told their children were based off
yeah,
of things they've seen in the sky. So
the
they weren't.
Anastasia, yeah,
Yeah, which is what we do to our kids. We read them like these little kids books at night, and
yeah.
they're just it's all based off of whatever. It's not like there's no reality to it necessarily.
Or it's based off exactly that. It's based off reality, and that's why we have these common myths through all out global society. That's why I'm a big believer in the Great Flood, because it keeps reappearing. It's why I think people should look at giants a bit more seriously, because everybody speaks about giants,
Yeah,
everybody speaks about dragons. Why is there a dragon on the Welsh flag?
right.
Like, you know what I mean? Shit like this. Like look at
Because we're
like if
Welsh.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. If there's shared mythologies around the globe, I think they are the ones that should be examined.
Right.
And look at
Like if there's a
Plato.
collective agreement of things that have happened. Yeah.
Yeah, because it must have existed, because it's shared memory. As I think Graham Hancock says it like that. It's a shared memory that
Mm.
they all speak about this. It's in Irish. It's in Irish lore. It's in Irish mythology. It's in, and you go and you look at like Syrian technology. Like it's everywhere. The Great Flood is everywhere in everybody's like myth and lore. Everyone speaks about it all over the world. So
Well,
they
yeah,
can't
because
all be lying.
there's whole like cities and fortresses that you can see that have like these pattern designs to them when you dig into the great floods and the mud floods. There's whole civilizations that had like these structures that were perfectly designed that are just gone now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's crazy. Like it's crazy that like we're finding cities that are miles and miles and miles off the coastlines. Like
Yes.
that's happening all over the world. Like maritime archaeology is like really, really getting an expansion now, probably because more funding, better technology, all these different things. But like just to say that, like, oh shit, I kind of lost my track. But like what I'm saying is that like with these shared mythologies around the world, they're the ones that should be looked at. And if you look at Plato, and he talks about, so Plato comes from Greece. I think it was Aristotle told Plato that he met a guy, or no, sorry, Solon told Plato, or yeah, Aristotle found it out from Solon, I think, or Solon told Plato about this thing called Atlantis that disappeared in one night of misfortune. And then Atlantis appears in all these other mythologies as well. It's not just Plato. Plato is the most famous, like he's the most famous account of Atlantis. This,
Yeah.
and people go, oh, Atlantis didn't exist, it's just a myth. But
Yeah.
like if you look at, and then you see all these like ancient cultures talking about the sea people, like in Egypt they talk about how the sea people invaded and they pretty much laid waste to all these great civilizations, and it disappeared again. Like, and then you look at you go like look at the ruins around the world where you see these, always this figure carrying a bag of some sort. Like you can't just say that's myth. Like it
Yeah.
appears everywhere. Like what was that one that was found in Turkey?
I don't know what you're talking
Göbekli
about.
Tepe. So look at Göbekli Tepe, right, on the steles and the pillars that they've uncovered. For some reason, they go, "Oh, we've only uncovered like 5% of the site. Let's stop digging." And then for a while, they put all these really like protective olive plants, and they started growing olive trees all over the site. And they decided that because of protests, that they cut them down. Why are people afraid of answers? Like look at like, and Gobekli Tepe has all these steles, and they have the similar depictions that you see in Aztec and Mayan cultures. And why
Mhm.
are they, like, look at the way pyramids are built? Like there's obviously a shared knowledge, a shared consciousness, and a shared mythology through all human history, and we
Right.
can't keep writing off these things that keep appearing all over the world,
Well,
because
at what
why do
point? At
everybody know you?
what point do you think that that'll actually happen, though? I think that it will continue to be that way just to control the narrative?
It's the control of the narrative, sure, but it's the human thing of wasted endeavors. These people don't want to look at their entire careers and their entire existence that they've dedicated to these causes and say that was a wasted endeavor and I was completely wrong. It's the super ego once again protecting these people. That's all it
Mhm.
is. So maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe we need these people, these what they call torchbearers or whatever, gatekeepers. We need these people to move on, pass away, generational change and informational change, and uh, what you'll see is an indoctrinational change. Because if you have people that believe in different things start to ascend to positions of power, then the people that will follow those are more likely to share those belief systems, like Azawi Hawass in Egypt. And he pretty much says, if you don't agree with my narrative, you're not allowed to progress through the world of Egyptology. So
Right.
you have to adhere to his narrative. And then what happens? You have indoctrination instead of open mindedness. And then you're 20 years studying with this guy, so eventually you become brainwashed. And even if you don't become brainwashed, you still don't want to see it as a wasted endeavor. So it's going to take a long time. It's the only way you can change generation thinking
It's
is
like if
through
you know, like
generational.
think of like the Amish culture, right? You know, you're kept from all of this
Yeah,
advancement, and then at 16 they have what was it called? I can't think of the name of it.
Rumspringer.
Rumspringer,
Rumspringer.
right? Here's your
Yep.
opportunity to go see what it's like out there, right? So
Yeah.
it's like this whole thing opens up to you, and you
And
realize
most
that
of them come back.
everything, yeah, and yeah, it's crazy because the
Yeah.
structure, right? It's what
Yeah.
they do know versus what they don't know.
Yeah. It's like, I think it was there was that famous writer, this Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft once said, the greatest and oldest emotion of humans is fear, and the greatest, oldest fear of humans is the fear of the unknown.
Right.
And that's the thing. They were indoctrinated into this society. It's all they know. It's all they love. And then when they go out, and even though it seems to us like, oh, why would you want to go back to this restricted, regimented society instead of like enjoying the fruits of modern society? Well, they go, well, that's what I know. It's what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's who I am, and
Yeah.
that's indoctrination. And like,
Yeah.
and they're probably way fucking happier than us. Look at how quickly they can build a barn, bro.
Oh,
Like,
it's
you know what
true.
I mean?
And
Like
it's
they
community.
can
It's
fire
a
a barn up like
community.
that.
Right. And it is. It's
Yeah,
a whole
and
community.
like
And
they,
that's but
yeah, it's an identity.
we did a singed episode though, because this is actually something I'd like to we need to wrap up because but
Yeah,
we talked about this Amish man, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, that ended up
yeah,
killing his wife because he worked in a barn working on, vehicles, because they do work on, motors and stuff like that in the shops. And the oils and the stuff started messing with his head. Like he started to kind of lose his mind. But because of their beliefs, they weren't taking him to the proper doctors to get the proper care. That he eventually ended up murdering his wife in front of his kids. And like he was telling people
shit.
he wasn't feeling right. Like he's was seeing things. He was like hallucinating. And they kept taking him to this doctor who was giving him molasses and rubbing his feet and saying that was the cure. Like,
Hmm.
so I think that there is a separation of where that might be a reality for some people, but we've advanced technology enough that does benefit us that we need to acknowledge that.
Oh, of course, but like, who's to say what we do is right? Look at how many people die every year in the healthcare systems around the world.
Right.
You know, with all our advancements, with all our technologies, with all our doctors and all their knowledge and information, hundreds of thousands of people die through malpractice every single year, all around the
Right.
world. So
Mm-hmm.
hook me up to some molasses and rub my feet, motherfucker. Let's see how it
Yeah, let's
goes.
do
You know
it.
what I mean?
Let's see
Like,
how it
yeah,
goes.
it probably don't like have to leave your family with a shit ton of debt after that. You know, like how expensive is molasses? Like, you know what I
Not,
mean?
yeah, I've got like 3
Yeah,
jars
yeah,
in my cabinet right now,
yeah.
man.
You know what I mean? Of course you do. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. So like, if I'm going to die, let me die, and I'm not leaving my family with any debt except
But
our
that
set of
I'm just
molasses
saying that
costs.
someone could have not died had they done the
Yeah,
proper steps,
of course. It sounds like he probably had lead poisoning or something, though.
There was
You
lead
know,
poisoning, and then there was something in like some of the cleaning product that they used on,
solvents.
yeah, something like that. I don't know. There was several times where some of the Amish community talked about they'd walk into the barn and it would just reek of like ammonia almost kind of
Yeah.
odor. And if you're working in that for hours and hours, I mean, of course that's going to alter you.
No,
You know?
yeah, no respirators or anything probably because they don't
Right.
believe in that thing. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
But with
You
that
know?
being said, everybody, hey,
Yeah,
Three Eye Atlas.
yeah. Like,
um,
like I think to round up the point on Tree Eye Atlas, that it could be any number of things, but to be apocalyptic about it, I think it's a bit silly because we've no
I agree.
idea how regular occurrence this is. Really, really don't, because James Webb is such a recent thing. Like,
It really is. And even like what little we know about it, it could literally just be another flying rock just made of different materials. We don't know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
honestly, we won't know until it either passes through or it's here. And at that point, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, it's deep. It's deep impacts. Get the high
Yep.
ground and hope for best.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, dude, this has been wonderful. I did hour and a
Awesome.
half.
Thank
I
you
was
for
only
having me.
thinking like an hour. Yeah.
Bro, I told you, once I
Every
get
time.
going, bro, once I
Yeah.
blow the rust off, the first 20 minutes with me when I haven't been on a podcast for a while, I'm a little bit still getting
Yeah.
going. And then once
The
we
best
start
a
ranting
best
and
a
raving,
best podcast is when you can just flow. It doesn't matter what the
yeah,
conversation is. Well, it does, but if you can
yeah,
flow off of each other, that's what makes it a good
yeah.
podcast.
Oh, and before I go, everybody buy River Bones, available on Amazon
That's
and
right. I'll
Kindle.
put it in the description too once I get it all posted.
Legend. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks,
Thank
Jukebox,
you,
for having me
sir.
again. Take
We'll
me
be
out
in
of
touch.
retirement once more. I appreciate you so much. It was a lot of
Yes,
fun.
sir.
Take care.
I might.
And I didn't smoke. I didn't smoke.
You
Peace.
did the whole time. And
Yeah,
hey,
I've had
let's
it
do
right
some
here.
more. Let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. And I want to do some more of these. This was fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. It was a great
Yeah.
conversation. Take care of yourself,
We'll
bro.
talk to everybody later. Thank you, guys.